What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Triple H podcast, Happy Hour Hoops. And these last couple of weeks, it's more been like sad hour hoops, guys, because between the Jason Tatum injury, the Celtics themselves, the Cleveland Cavaliers, hasn't been the best couple weeks for Jake and myself. Steve joining us back, and his Mavericks landed the number one pick, but
Nico getting vindicated. It hasn't been good for me either, Donny.
yeah, exactly. So the three of us not doing too hot, but we're here to talk everything NBA as always. Happy Hour Hoops presented by Trainwreck Sports. We're gonna get into all of it, guys. Nuggets, Thunder, Warriors getting sent home. Jake's gonna do a little Cavs corner for us. I'm gonna do a deep dive into Tatum's brutal injury. We'll talk all the series, everything. We got it all, and yeah, how we doing, fellas? I mean, I know I just kind of laid out how we're all doing, but excited to talk a little ball at least.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk ball. I'm upset I missed last week because I think last week would have been a fun week for me. It would have been a kind of like, poking the bear type of week for me. Now I can't really because one bear's dead and the other bear is bleeding out as we speak, and I'm just hoping he can last a couple more days. But I'm doing all right. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. Like the playoffs, they've been a little weird lately. I don't want to say like underwhelming or bad. I found myself watching, I have the YouTube TV, right? So I have the multi-box on. I found myself focusing more on the hockey than some of the basketball games, and the big reason for that is just the injuries, man. The injuries. I feel like have killed the momentum in some of these series. I know you guys have been going through it in the East, and I'm probably, if someone finds the clip I said 3-4 weeks ago, I'm a dead man walking because I don't think we're getting Cavs Celtics Eastern Conference Finals. But I don't know. It's something about the playoffs this year. I really do think it's the injuries have kind of killed the momentum for me. I'm hoping we get some fun conference finals. I know Jake doesn't want to hear this. I've kind of fallen back in love with the Indiana Pacers, Dunny. I think this is a team, and I'll get to it after Jake has his Cavs rant. I won't steal that from him. But I think that's probably the team I'm pulling for now. I've kind of fallen back in love with the Pacers, just the whole, makeup of their team, the way they play, the coaching, everything. But it feels like a weird NBA playoffs this year, and obviously injuries come part to it. The upsets are good, I guess. Like, but I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like it did the past few years.
No.
I've no shade for the Pacers the way they played and you appreciating it because the Pacers. Let me lead off with that before we get into we can get all the Cavs stuff and everything else later on.
Mm-hmm.
It's been I agree with you completely, Steve. This has been Donny and I were talking about it a little bit before you jumped on too. That this is just like, it used to be weird when 6 seeds even had upsets, and got through, and now we've had multiple years in a row where we're having a 6 and a 7 even playing each other, and just weird teams getting through, just having different matchups in the finals, like all the parity. It's completely different than I think it's weird for us because it's different than anything really the league's ever been. So it is weird and it's strange, and we'll see how it plays out. It's not like I don't think any of the teams left are worthy of an NBA title. Like they're all teams that we could have given a case before the season that they would have been champions, but just the way the season played out, we weren't thinking about it, and it's got me thinking about what to do with the regular season anymore, especially with the Pacers. That's the one thing. You can't hate on the Pacers, man. I just and I don't even want to say that I underestimated the Pacers because I said the Cavs, except it could be Cavs in 7. I never thought it was going to be Pacers in 5, but I don't think anybody picked Pacers in 5. But what the Pacers did was they started the year slow and everybody wrote them off, and then they played great basketball when it mattered at the end of the year, and now they're better than they've ever been. And it makes me think, like, how do you go through an NBA season now? Like, what is the best way to do it? Like, what's the best thing? I don't know. And all these teams ended up here with completely different builds and completely different paths. It's been strange, but it's been fun and great basketball. Like every game, it's been such high. Besides the Timberwolves Warriors series with Steph going out, it was just sad, obviously, and we'll get to that later on. Like, it was just not the same vibe. But the other 3 series have been high level, even though the Cavs series ended. Like, every game, basically, besides Game 4, was high level competitive basketball in it. It's been competitive, but it's just weird. And it's weird because I think we don't have the one team. Like, I guess OKC is the team we're looking to knock off here. Like, it was kind of Boston, but Boston was the 2 seed, and now the Boston thing has changed completely. So it's weird. I don't really know how to get through it either. I hope this conversation will help parse through it, honestly.
Yeah, I think the big ratings heads out there are probably scared what the possibilities are for conference finals and ultimately the NBA finals here. But I don't know. It is strange. I think part of it for Jake, you and I is just the direction of our teams, and like Steve said, like we were supposed to have Cavs Celtics all year long. That's what it was supposed to be. Usually these things are clear in the NBA, and when you have 2 teams like that or 3 teams, including OKC, but they're doing what they were supposed to. These things typically just happen in the NBA. There's sometimes seasons where you can see it clear as day. It felt like one of those, and now it's not. The first round of these playoffs was excellent, and we thought we were going to get just more competitiveness after that, and looks like something similar to the first round. It's kind of been the complete opposite. It's kind of been everything. It's been the unexpected, basically. Some lopsided series have come with it, but I'm still enjoying the NBA playoffs, barely because of the state of the Celtics, but I am enjoying it. Game 5 was a blast, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with all this. And I guess that being said, let's get into tonight's Game 6. Nuggets Thunder. This series has been crazy because the Nuggets came so close to getting Game 5. Jokic just seriously needs some help. He, had that circus shot with a little over a minute left to tie the game, and then just the shots just could not fall for the Nuggets down the stretch. Thunder figured it out. Game 6 tonight. Just real quick before we get into all the other stuff, where are you guys at here? Like, do you guys think SGA and the Thunder finish it tonight? They're conference finals bound. I just have a hard time thinking that Denver goes out like this. I feel like at least Jokic is going to give it his all and make it close.
Yeah, especially at home, right? It's so hard to win in Denver, only on a couple days rest. Dunny, I think this series has kind of like I know SGA is probably going to win the MVP, but if you watch this series, you can't argue that Jokic isn't the MVP or the best player in the world. And I was going to say
that debate is gone until further notice. Like,
that's what the best player. That's what this series has shown, right? And SGA will probably still win it, right? Because people are going to be like, oh, they had 18 more regular season wins, and well, he's got Aura, whatever. I don't really care at this point. It's a tireless argument. It's not worth it. But what this series has shown, right, is how good Jokic is and his ability to keep a Nuggets team. And I'm not going to discredit the Nuggets team. It is a good Nuggets team. I think we all underestimated them coming into the playoffs, and I think we all admitted that. But to keep a team like this within reach pretty much in every game besides Game 2 against a really good 68-win Oklahoma City Thunder team that has the size, that has the depth, that has the athleticism. And besides really just Game 2, the Nuggets had a chance to win every single game in this series. Jokic was pretty much the reason that they were, in these games. And it's everything the man can do. You look at what he could do now. He checks every single box. It's not just, he's putting up, boring box score triple-doubles at this point. The playmaking's outrageous. The shot creating, guys. Like, we're talking about Nikola Jokic. What do you have? 5 threes, 44 points in Game 5? Like, he just does what he needs to do to keep his team in the game. And I look at it, and you look at the series, like, the Thunder could have very easily won this series in the first 4 games, right? Like, the first game, They lose by 2 at home in a wild game. Then they absolutely blow Denver out of the building. I think they won by 40 plus game 2. Then you have the overtime game in game 3 where the Thunder kind of came roaring back, right? And then Nuggets just pulled away in overtime. Then you have the game 4 was like the worst offensive game I've ever seen. That first quarter was absolutely ugly, but they had a chance. They did win that game, and then obviously game 5, they win at home. I think this series goes 7. I said it before. I still think it do. It's just Denver has. They have Jokic, and when you have a guy like Jokic, and you have other players around Jokic who work with him, you just have enough to play with a team that's better than you. I don't think anyone thinks the Nuggets are a better team than the Thunder. And going back to what you said about the regular season, right? The 18-game win difference, it matters. But I think we've gotten to the point where how much does it matter in the regular season? Like, yeah, Denver would probably like to have home court advantage against the Thunder, but this is a team that split the season series with them. This is a team that, like I said, besides game 2, has been in every game. And if they win tonight, okay, it's just one game to move on, right? And I think that's where, as good as the Thunder were, as good as they are as the 1 seed, that's where Jokic and the Nuggets are just right there with them. And I look at it as I can't bet against Denver. Even when they're on the road, they were getting 10.5, I think it was, in game 5. Like, you tell me Jokic is 10-point dog to anybody? Like, I get it. I get how good the Thunder are, but come on now. And that's where I kind of feel where I'm just gonna take the Nuggets to cover tonight. I think the Nuggets win tonight. I think this goes 7. Do I think the Thunder win this series? Yeah. And do I think the Thunder? I to be honest with you guys, I think the Thunder will probably win a lot more convincingly against Minnesota than in this series against Denver. And that's not really to take anything away from Minnesota's team, their talent level. I just think that we all underestimated Denver, and I think we all underestimated like how good Nikola Jokic is when it comes to willing a team in these playoff games that they really have no business being in.
Yeah, I think part of Jokic loves it too. I know he looks exhausted. I know he's got the scratches all over his body, but I think that's like when he enjoys basketball the most. When he's like, all right, fuck it, give me the ball. Like, let me back down this dude and get double teamed and still hit this crazy turnaround shot. I think he lives for it. I think he heard people, it's just crazy to me that like people have the gall to in games. What was that? 3 and 4. Oh, we've never seen Jokic shoot this bad, and is this the fall off? Has he ran out of gas? No, because the next game he had 44, 15, and 5. Like this is the guy. This is who he is. It's the best player in the world. He's been the best player in the world comfortably for the last 2 years, probably the better part of the last 3 or 4 years, and he's that dude. And I think the reason we may have underestimated this Nuggets team is because the Nuggets go as he goes, and when he's great, the rest of the team's great. And yeah, he's allowed to have a okay game. I'm not even willing to call games 3 and 4 bad games because I don't think they were. Like, it
they're great games for a lot of other guys in the league,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
That's exactly my point. No one else is up to Jokic standards.
His bad games are great games for 98% of the rest of the league.
Yeah, find me another fucking center that can do that. A center that can't jump over a phone book and do that. So, yeah, I actually really like this series. This is probably one of the better second round series we've gotten. And I tend to agree, Steve. I think not only the Nuggets have a chance tonight, I like the spread. I think the Nuggets do win outright. I think that you make a great point about it being super difficult to win in Denver. And I just don't think Jokic goes out like this. From what we saw last game, I mean, he nearly did it in game 5 on the road. He just, no one really helped him there. I know the MPJ thing, he's a tough son of a bitch for playing through that shoulder injury, but just offensively, shooting-wise,
it's been ugly.
Yeah, he's just not a threat. And
can't play
I think I think OKC knows that at this point, so it makes it even more difficult. It's like at the beginning of the series, he was a decoy, but it's like, dude, you got a fucking giant ice pack.
He's missing left and right, man. It's like it's not even like close. It's like
just play Peyton Watson, man. I like every time he goes on the court, he proves himself that he's ready for this moment. Like, or if you just play Russ, play Brown, Gordon, Murray, and Jokic. Now, the one thing I did want to say, I don't know if you guys saw, but Murray's he's dealing with an illness right now, so he's questionable for tonight.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah. So it came out, I think, this afternoon, right when I was leaving the office. I got a notification, and it says he's questionable with an illness. Now, 90% of the time, when a guy's questionable with a sickness, they'll play, right? But regardless. Not having 100% Murray is not a good thing for this Denver team. But that's the thing. It's like, do you have a banged up MPJ? Aaron Gordon's been really good. I'm not going to take anything away from what he has. Murray has been fantastic. He really is one of those playoff risers, in my opinion.
I mean, here's the stat muse. Here's the stat muse for you to back up your point you just made. In elimination games, Jamal Murray, 27.8 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 49, 41, 91 shooting splits. He's the only player in NBA history to average 25, 5, and 5 on 40-plus three-point percentage.
Well, that's the thing. Some guys just kind of have it, right? In their DNA, they just have that kind of big game rising. And that's why it's so hard to count this Nuggets team out, because I know we just talked about Jokic for about the first 5 minutes of this, but we got to give Jamal Murray credit too, guys. We really do. I mean, this is a guy we just look in the regular season it doesn't look like he has it anymore. And he just rises in the playoffs every time. I think he's averaged 22 points in the playoffs this year. I think 5 rebounds. I want to say his assists are over 5 as well. You tell me I get a point guard who's averaging 23, 5, and 5 next to Nikola Jokic. I'm signing up for that every single time.
Absolutely. It's and the Russ thing too, Russ has been one of the better performers off the bench in these playoffs.
Absolutely.
But he needs to lock back in, because he has I do think if you get the Russ that we've gotten most of the playoffs in game 5, I think that Denver wins that. Jokic just needed one other guy in the fourth quarter to hit a couple shots for him. And Russ just hasn't been there the last couple games.
That also shouldn't be Russ, right? Russ shouldn't be the guy to hit those big shots late in the quarter. You have other options that can shoot there. Aaron Gordon's made some big ones. Brown's been great. I know MPJ's dealing with his injury, but Jamal Murray hit some big ones too. Dunny, Russ is not there for that. Russ is there for the effort level he puts in, for crashing the offensive glass late in the fourth quarter, for forcing steals, for forcing turnovers, for driving. That's why Russ is there. So I think sometimes, and I think OKC's done a good job of it too, leaving him open for those shots. You know Russ as well as I know Russ, Dunny, and we love Russ. We will always die with Russell Westbrook. That guy's not turning down that shot because he's Russell Westbrook, because of his mentality, because of his drive and how hard he works. He works harder than anyone. But if we're talking about his strengths, it's not outside shooting. That's where, if you're the Nuggets, you have to be all right, you got to drive this here, or we got to try to get someone else that look. Because then everyone's oh, Russ with a bad miss here, Russ with a bad miss here. He shouldn't be the player in those situations shooting that.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's a good point. It just happened to be that way in the last couple of games down the stretch. Important shots. He doesn't have it. But you're right. I think it is probably a strategy thing from the Thunder, and a lack of options for the Nuggets, or just, a kind of mental lapse there and getting out coached, because you're a coach who's never been a head coach before, and you had to figure it out on the fly a week before the playoffs because the Nuggets decided to fire their GM and head coach.
Well, if you see any of the timeouts, Jokic is coaching that team.
Oh, yeah.
Jokic is coaching that team. He's been the best player coach we've ever seen.
Yeah, right? He's doing his best Bill Russell. But, yeah, just to say something to Westbrook's strength, I think, obviously we're not seeing OKC Russ tonight, but I do think Russ is a guy who will at least get up for the elimination game. So I think where Jamal is the performer and the kind of the nails guy and the guy who is willing to take the last shot or hit a big shot or just shoot well, like you laid out his numbers, Russ is the guy at home for Denver, energy guy, been here before.
Yep.
I think Russ has a big game tonight.
Agreed.
So I like Nuggets tonight, and then anything could happen in a game 7, but it probably has to be Thunder.
I think my lock of the day was Nuggets +5, so I think it comes down to the wire no matter what. I think it has to go 7. This series feels like 7, and it feels like everything we've said. Jokic, Murray, somebody, Westbrook, somebody's willing it. Like whoever it is, that is a battle-tested, proud. And like you said right at the start of this, Steve, we started talking about it. We all underestimated them coming in. This has been an awesome fight with the way Porter's playing and his injury and everything. Like to be in this like this with the Thunder, to be in this opportunity is hella impressive. So kudos to them. Kudos to Jokic. Definitely the best player in the world. He's not going to win MVP. It's going to look ridiculous in the future. So live with that, voters. Love that. Whatever. Cool post-game interviews, all that good stuff. Whatever. Yeah, aura. A lot of aura. No, Jokic, I think Jokic's got listen, the aura of him when Jalen Williams had him wrapped up and he just fucking sprinted across the lane and was trying to draw that call and they called on him. That's aura. That's what you need to do.
I can't have any talking heads try to tell me that SGA should win MVP over Jokic.
It's so brutal, man.
It's just wild to me. How do you watch this series? Because I'll be honest, there's some games SGA doesn't look like the best player on the Thunder.
No.
I mean, sometimes Jalen Williams see the best player on the Thunder. Like the Thunder are a great team. They're a deep team. They're a great shooting team. They're an athletic team. They're a big team. They're a fast team. You can't watch this game and whenever he's on the court, try to tell me there's someone better than Nikola Jokic on that court. It's just not it.
Not even close. You're not going to get someone arguing that on this show, but we'll see. Huge game tonight. I'm sure everyone will be tuning in because it's the Soul game tonight. But let's talk about the other side of the Western Conference. The Timberwolves advanced last night. Anthony Edwards is headed to his second consecutive Western Conference final, and the Timberwolves look in sync. They look good. They look tough. They look fast. Everyone's kind of contributing with this group, but the Stephless Warriors get sent home. That's the other side of this series. Jimmy Butler, of course, great accusation for the Warriors, but turns out not really a 1 anymore. At least that's what it looked like in this series.
Yeah. I don't want to say he's not a 1 necessarily because I don't think he's a 1. I don't think you're building your team around Jimmy Butler. I think he still can be a go-to guy on a good team. But we just say what the facts are. The facts, Dunny. Without Steph Curry, this Warriors team stinks. Yeah, I mean, the supporting cast that Jimmy Butler has, terrible. Look at some of the guys they were starting. I mean, this is just not your typical Warriors team, and they're covered up because of how good Steph Curry is. And then, like you said, at the end of the year, I know you're not going to say he's a true 1, but you can get away with a Steph Curry and a guy like Jimmy Butler, right? Who can be a primary scoring option, but Steph Curry there is the right, and that's kind of my biggest takeaway from here is I'm not as impressed with the Timberwolves as I'm more just kind of like, well, it's kind of got lucky in this series. I think if Steph's healthy, this is a completely different series. You watched most of the games. The Warriors were in it for the first half, I think, besides one of the games, and then the Timberwolves kind of pulled away with their size. And also the Warriors, much like the Lakers, had an issue of size in this series where they just didn't want to play big and match their size and tried to play small ball, and it just didn't work. They made Rudy Gobert look great, and then we got to give Julius Randle his flowers, man. He's had a really, really good playoffs so far. I know Kendrick Perkins only going to talk about his Anthony Edwards and how he's Michael Jordan and whatever. I don't really care. Anthony Edwards had a good postseason, but Julius Randle has been probably the biggest surprise for me. I know Rudy Gobert in the first series had a couple impressive games. It wasn't the whole series, but a couple big ones. And he was a mismatch for the Lakers. And, Jaden Daniels had a pretty nice one, and Naz Reid had his games. But overall, if we're talking about a guy who has been known to just be a playoff choker and then go to a new change of scenery, Julius Randle looks unbelievable right now. And I think that was what I was really, really impressed with, is the fact that if they can get Julius Randle like that, because we all know Anthony Edwards will rise when the moment, lights are brightest in the big moments. Julius Randle can be a riser too. This team has a chance, man. They have a really, really good chance, especially with the top two dogs. And I can't say top two because one of the dogs is dead on the Eastern Conference, but the other dog in a little bit of a tough spot right now. So
did you guys see Steph's reaction to Randall's deep three last night?
I did not see Steph's reaction. Was it just
Randall hit like a crazy deep three?
Yeah.
And it pans to Steph on the bench, and he's just in disbelief, just shaking his head.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's tough too, because Steph's one of those guys who, if he could be out there, he would be out there. And I think Steph knows that, he's the type of player that could have completely changed this series. And I don't want to say the Timberwolves had an easy road, because they took out LeBron and Luka, regardless of what else was on that team. You still took them out. And then you took out the Warriors. You only had to play Steph for one game. But, the Warriors championship DNA, like they aren't a great team. I'm not super impressed by it. But it's the way they won, right? They won both these series in 5 games. They're dominating kind of the glass, and I know a little undersized here, but it's almost the will of Minnesota now. And if they have the talent with that will, this is a team that could give, an OKC and even a Denver, if they win the next 2, a good series. And guys, I mean, the NBA championship's up for grabs this year. I think this is the first time I feel like in my life where it just feels like it's a toss-up right now. Where, the Thunder are heavily favored. I think they're even to win, and the field is pretty much even. It's like Thunder versus the field right now. But I don't know, man. I don't know, because I'll tell you what, Nuggets win Game 6. It's going to get a little sweatier there.
What I think is the Nuggets are the best chance to knock the Thunder off at this point. I honestly think these next 2 games are the closest the Thunder are going to get to getting knocked off. And that's
you don't think Minnesota can give the Thunder a series?
That would mean that I think Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle play out of their minds in a Western Conference Finals. And as good as they have been in this playoffs, I just can't get to that point to them beating the Thunder. And it's no disrespect. I'm not saying this to disrespect Julius Randle, especially Julius Randle. I wanted to say this and admit this. Julius Randle's been awesome in this playoff.
Incredible.
Maybe this is the redemption that Julius Randle has been building up to, because he has had playoff moments where he would probably tell you he would wish he'd have back. And this moment right now, he's been great.
Sometimes you just need to change the scenery, guys.
Honestly.
Sometimes
and him and Ant are like the perfect, like, to feed, the way they feed off each other, and just like the energy they bring. And it honestly is a perfect fit with Gobert, who like is more docile, and like they kind of all mesh perfectly, like just chemistry wise, which was not what I expected. And that's, this is a team that, if they believe in themselves, that's for sure. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait to see them take a swing, whoever it is, whether it's Denver or OKC. Nobody believes in us Wolves taking a swing at one of these teams in the conference finals is going to be incredible to watch.
I know it wouldn't be sexy for OKC to also get knocked off, but I would love to see a rematch of the Nuggets team.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think no matter what series we end up with on both sides now, they are like the level of basketball and just how did they match up, and the styles and everything are awesome. It's gonna be great entertainment. Like, this is what you wait all year for, then it's gonna be good. It's not the teams you thought, but it's still gonna be good.
A couple closing things on the Warriors here. Did you guys see Udonis Haslam's comments about Jimmy Butler today?
Oh boy, what did he say?
He basically they were just kind of talking about like what I brought up originally, like number ones and playoff guys, and he brought up about how he played with D Wade, and like there was times where D Wade was unstoppable, and I was actually kind of surprised, but then he brought up Tatum and Brown and said, you know, those guys get to a point where they can be unstoppable, and he basically said Jimmy Butler doesn't have that. So I don't know if this is just more of the Heat situation, and UD, you know, obviously being a member of the Heat for nearly 2 decades and just kind of embodying Heat culture. So he's having the franchises back. But it was just petty and interesting, to say the least. I don't necessarily know if I agree with it or not. I don't think he's as good as those other players that UD named. So.
No, but it's easy to take shots at someone, right, when they're Podminski is their second best player on the court, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think it's a completely different conversation if Steph's healthy, because I think Jimmy played off Steph really well. We kind of saw that the first couple series, or I should say the playing in the Rocket series.
Yeah,
I'm
with
just,
you. I think completely different series, but the way the Wolves finished them off last night was very impressive. Like they were not losing that game.
Right.
No, you're right. I mean, and that's the thing about this Wolves team. Like the mentality's there. Like you don't got to worry about them mentally checking out in this Western Conference Finals or at any point in these playoffs. Like they're locked in. So it's fun to see whether it's worthy bravado or not. We'll see, but they've got it. That's for sure.
They definitely got it. They do not. That's something they do not lack. If you're led by Ant-Man, you do not lack that. Last thing here, Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga are expected to explore a sign and trade scenario. This is fun, I think. I think Kuminga's a really good guy or not really good guy. I don't know him as a guy, but a really good basketball player who's kind of been trapped. And I think he shot himself in the foot. I think he's maybe been a little too outspoken about his role. And it might have been one of those situations where, you know, you play for a great franchise, dude. Like maybe just wait your time and it will come. But I think there's obviously some friction between him and Steve Kerr or the Warriors front office. So, you know, Kuminga kind of throwing his name the Warriors throwing Kuminga's name into the mix this summer, as far as a piece that could be moved, is, I think, a little more interesting than other people might, you know, give him credit for.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer for Golden State. I mean, they already gave that money to Butler, so like it's how you got to win a title next year. Like that's their goal, and I don't know if they're close to that at all, but like that's the area that they're operating in. So a lot of pressure there for sure.
For sure. Jake, you want to hop over to the Eastern Conference and do a little Cavs corner here?
I'm ready.
We can, if you want Steve and I to go first on the Cavs, we can, or do you want to just jump into it?
I can go into it. I can give, and you guys can jump in.
He wants to go.
You guys can jump in though. Where I want you guys to ask questions. I want you to jump in. I don't want this to just be like a rant of mine, because I really want this to like I've collected a lot of thoughts, and I think I have my angles, and I just want to hear if I'm like still just like angry or if I'm in the right state of mind. But I have to go. Go ahead. Sorry.
I want to just say one thing before you go into this, because I know it's going to be mainly negative towards the Cavs and everything. And I touched on it at the beginning of the show.
Let's hype up the Pacers. Yes.
Did everyone, because we talked about the Nuggets, right? And we overlooked the Nuggets, and we kind of took Jokic and everything for granted. The Pacers are going to their second straight Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
They have arguably the deepest roster in the NBA in terms of how many guys they can play that, you know, produce consistently. Dunny, you're muted, but I'm assuming you said yes. Steve, you're completely correct.
That is what I
said. And, you know, we talk about a team where in this league there's so much ISO ball. There's so much ISO ball. It's so much let your star do your thing. Pacers got to be one of the best passing teams in the league, and I think they're the only team I've seen in the NBA this year that reminds me, not nearly as good, don't even try to get that confused, but reminds me of those Tim Duncan Spurs teams where they just pass guys into wide open shots every single possession. And that starts with having a point guard like Tyrese Halliburton, who is a pass-first player. And the only time he really goes, all right, I'm going to try to take over and shoot is, well, A, when teams kind of like not dare him to, but just don't respect how good of a shooter he is. And B, late game scenarios where he's like, I know I'm good enough to get a bucket. I think we've all kind of overlooked Halliburton. I know I've always kind of been pro Halliburton. I don't understand how people can call him most overrated player in the NBA. It's crazy. I know. I think it was on Part of My Take where I think it was Rachel Nichols said there's only like 90 players who even answered that poll. So you're not even getting like a large sample size of the league or whatever. But regardless, I really do think like this Indiana Pacers team, you know, they got a great coach. Carla's a great coach. They're a great passing team. They have such depth. They're the only team that really kind of reminds me of that like 2000s basketball where it's just passing the wide open shots. And I know you're going to rant about the Cavs, and I wanted to get this out before you rant about the Cavs, because I think sometimes, you know, you have to just accept when a team has just kind of outplayed you. And I do think the Cavs had their own issues and they blew some leads or whatever. But part of the reason for that, part of the reason in the first series with Indiana, when we played Milwaukee, this is a team that's built for those comebacks and built for those big runs based on how they play, based on their playmaking, based on how they run, based on how they pass everyone open. And it's one of those things where no one cares. Like, it just feels like the media doesn't care, and all they want to talk about is, oh, look at the Cavs fall apart again, this, that. Guys, the Pacers are going to 2 straight Eastern Conference Finals. And it's a young team with depth. Like, that, like, right at some point you have to be like, okay, maybe like we're just kind of overlooking this team. How do you overlook a team that's been the 2 back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals? We're still doing it. No one wants to talk about the Pacers positively. It's negative Cavs.
Oh, and they're not going to do it in the series either.
No, not at all.
Or the Celtics. Sorry, or the Celtics. Either way, they're not going to talk positively about the Pacers in that scenario. It's going to be, it's going to be all about what can the Celtics do without Tatum, or it's going to be, oh my gosh, the New York Knicks. This is crazy. It's not going to be about Indiana. You're right.
Can I want to give flowers to one dude in particular on Indiana, and it's Miles Turner, because this is a guy who the last like 6-7 years has been on the trade block every deadline, at least in rumors. I have no idea the truth from the Pacers organization, but it really seems like every year he's a guy who's rumored to be in trades. And this dude was massive, one in both series, but I mean, just the fact, like, I think I said it going in. I said Miles Turner's going to have his work cut out for him, and this isn't the first round anymore, and he's going up against Mobley and Allen, and he stood up to the task, man. He hits threes, he blocks shots, he grabs big rebounds, he can score from anywhere on the floor. He's a Texas guy. I just have always kind of liked Miles Turner, and I feel like he never really gets his due. And he had an amazing series in the second round, so I just kind of wanted to shout out Turner.
He was sick.
Completely agree.
So many big threes he hit, like so many times, so many just timely shots. Really kept
Nemhard too.
Yeah,
Nemhard too was unbelievable.
Listen, hey, the end of the Cavs season ended, and this can be my jumping off point because this is a good segue. The Cavs season ended on a bully ball and one from Andrew Nemhard on to Darius Garland.
Yeah.
That's how the Cavs season ended. That was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
It's an and one from Andrew Nemhard on to Darius Garland. Guys, 2 years ago on this show, before the Cavs even made a trade, I said to you guys, I want no part of this. I want them to build around Garland and Mobley. I don't think 2 small guards work. I would rather have a wing. Would have loved Jaylen Brown. Would have loved somebody like that. Anything. Don't do this. They trade for him. Okay. Still didn't love it. You guys hyped me up. I was still not sold. I was like, I'm willing. I'm going to cheer for it. I'll give it a chance. They've done a lot of great things. They've been an awesome basketball team. There are 2 teams. 2 teams, by my count, since 1980 that have won the NBA title with 2 lead guards that are 6'4" and under, that are like good and played big roles. You look it up. Like, I looked back. Like, there's Kobe
Do you know who
teams,
it
there's
is?
Jordan teams, 6'4" and under. Jason Kidd and JJ Barea. They had Bird.
That Mavs, I mean, that was a lightning in a bottle type team there.
The Bad Boy Pistons, Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas, which Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are not. He's only like 6'2", 6'3", I think.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
I wouldn't guess that.
And there was, if you kind of, it depends on how you want to count who started for the Raptors. If you want to say Van Vliet and Lowry started, sure. But I think Van Vliet came off the bench most of the time in that playoff run, but whatever. They had Kawhi Leonard and OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam too. So those are the cases of 2 teams. And you can't even say the Mavs are led by 2 small guards. Like, they're not led by Jason Kidd and JJ Barea. Now, those guys played awesome. Don't get me wrong.
You wouldn't say Garland's leading them this year? I don't think you could argue that, right?
Steve, game 5. Let me read these stats to you, because this is how they went out. This is the Cavs, game 5, everything on the line. This is how the team went out. Evan Mobley, 24 points, 11 rebounds, 8 of 12. Okay?
Yeah.
Darius Garland, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 of 16. Donovan Mitchell, 35 points, 15 to 21 from the line, 8 of 25. So Garland and Mitchell from the field went 12 of 41.
Yeah.
So I would say that's leading. Like, in it, maybe you don't think of him in that way, but when the shit goes down, that's what the guards do on this team. They shoot. And in the regular season, that can work. In NBA history, to win an NBA title, the only jump shooting team that's won is the fucking Warriors, the greatest shooting team of all time, the greatest shooter of all time,
right? And probably a top 5 shooter of all time as well.
And Klay Thompson and Klay Thompson, led by 2 guards. Klay Thompson's like 6'7",
and he also played great defense for those teams
great
too.
Defender.
Yeah.
So my biggest issue with this team when they first put it together was you can't win with 2 small guards. And you can't blame everything in this series on that. Like you said, the Pacers, first of all, I want to give credit to the Pacers as well. The Pacers are fucking awesome. Tyrese Halliburton. Mitchell was awesome in this series. Tyrese Halliburton was better. And that was a big part of the series too. And Halliburton was better when it mattered, like the end of game 2, where Mitchell had to dispense every ounce of energy just to get them to that game. And then Halliburton was like, okay, bet. I want it more now, though. And then just willed it at the end. It was...
I want the Pacers to win at this point.
I think I do too. I think they're the best. They're the best story. Dunny. They're hometown built. Like Dunny's got his title last year, so I don't feel as bad about the redemption story, at least. But the thing is, like the thing is, this Cavs team has been flawed from the beginning. And Garland and Mitchell are an issue. They have to hide them defensively. The reason they couldn't do anything to the Pacers defensively is because they had no other options. Right. They had nobody. They had no size to throw at Halliburton on him. And if they did put size on him, then Mathurin was going to be bigger than Garland, or then Nembhard, like I said, was going to take him to the right. Like, they had every matchup size advantage, and the Cavs didn't care to play defense. Like, they didn't care. Kenny didn't care to make a defensive rotation adjustment until game 5. Game 5, you start seeing Marland. I said Marland. That's how I'm feeling about these two right now. Game 5, you finally see him start splitting them up a lot more and putting like Strus, Hunter, Wade out there. Like 3 wings, like 3 guys that are big and play defense. The game, it's working. But the thing is, they have to put such incredible effort into the defensive side of the ball in this series because they're lacking so much size with 2 players who have to generate so much offense for them. Think about the offense they were even trying to generate. Like Mitchell's offense to get points in this series was like pulling fucking teeth, man, because he's going into trees the whole time. The Cavs, they shot horribly in this series, worse than they have all year long. Can you say it's an anomaly, or can you say that they just got figured out for 5 games by a team? Like, I don't think it's an anomaly. I think they just were a flawed team that had basically 2 moves to win this year. and they could blitz teams, they could shoot the fuck out of things, or Mobley and Allen could take over against lesser teams defensively and put a lot of effort in. It doesn't work in the playoffs, and we've seen it now for 3 years. And Mitchell, the Mitchell conversation, I've said it. I said he had to be a 2. I think that was the case I made 2 years ago, and I think that's where I'm back at it. Mobley has to be a 1 if they want to win the title. He's never gotten past the second round. He's been number 1 his whole career. He's never gotten past the second round. At some point, we have to at least consider that he might be an issue in the playoffs at some scenario, regardless of the stats. Regardless, he's awesome. He puts up amazing stats. He can do a lot of things. I'm going to say this to you guys, and this is not to throw shade at this man who we praised earlier, but what did Russell Westbrook do on his own in the playoffs? Like, without like a guy with him. Like, that's who Donovan feels like to me. Donovan feels like Russell Westbrook, where if he had a KD, if he had the top flight guy with him, he would be the perfect guy running next to him. Like, Donovan can take over a game. He's a dog. He cares. He gives a fuck. Like, I truly believe that he gives a fuck. But it just hasn't worked out. So I don't know. Like, I'm just looking at the shit right in front of my face, what it's telling me here with this Cavs team. It goes against everything I believe in as a basketball fan on how you create a winning team. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that we talked about their depth all year, and then they couldn't find 8 guys to get on the floor and play consistently at the end of the game when it mattered. So what does your depth matter if you can't get your best 8 or 7 onto the floor and play good? That's basically – they can't make a lot of moves. They're probably going to run this team back. I think they're deeply flawed, and they are just the 2020s Portland Trailblazers.
Would you rather them just I don't want to say blow it up, but build around Mobley? Kind of switch out the guards, see what you can do there, and have Mobley be your core piece you build around. Because I don't think he's there yet. But I do think he has potential to be a guy you can build around. We've seen his offensive game take a leap this year. He's arguably one of the best defenders, if not the best rim defender, not named Victor Wembanyama in the NBA right now. Is that a situation where you're like, I don't want to do this whole, song and dance again next year. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off now. We saw it with 2 different coaches. We saw it over the course of, 3 different years. It's just not going to work, so we're just kind of wasting years at this point. Is that where you are mentally, or is it more so like if we get a couple different role players and we can structure this roster a little differently, maybe we can have a chance where Mobley kind of emerges as our go-to guy next year, and Mitchell can be that too. I don't really know what you do with Darius Garland, if I'm going to be completely honest. I feel like Darius Garland, sometimes I watch him and he should be on the Harlem Globetrotters. And then there's, other times where I watch Darius Garland, I'm like, it doesn't even look like he's healthy enough to step on the court. And then there's other times where I'm looking at Darius Garland, I'm like, he thinks he's Steph Curry this game, but he's a playmaking guard. Like, I feel like sometimes Darius Garland doesn't know the type of game he wants to play on a night-to-night basis, and that's a huge issue to have for your guy who's running point, because if he doesn't know, then that kind of leaks through the whole team. But in your mind, like, at this point, like, what else can you do with the roster, how it's currently constructed, to get to a spot where you feel better coming into the playoffs? Because if I'm going to be completely honest with you, Jake, you're not getting a better regular season. This was peak Cavs regular season. Not only were they winning 60-plus games, they were killing teams. The depth was there. Everything was there. And it's just the whole year. And Dunny, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole year, I thought the Celtics would kind of walk their way to the NBA Finals again. And now I'm watching this Cavs team, and I'm like, they're probably the favorites. And this is a team that looks like not only are they, ready to, get to Boston and give them a series, but this is a team that's capable of winning the whole damn thing. And the whole regular season, that's all they showed, because the big thing I say is the elite teams, they don't play with their food. They kill you. They kill teams that they are better than. And that's kind of what the Thunder and Cavs did this whole year in the regular season. So I thought we would see, maybe not to that degree, right, but some form of that. And I guess I can bring it up to you too a little bit, Dunny. I know your situation's somewhat different, but what blows my mind the most with the Cavs, Jake, is that they were blowing leads. This is a
Bro, they
team.
were a different team.
It was like this was a team that when they were up 10, I'm even going to go as far as 10 in the regular season in the first half. Game's over. This team's winning by 30. This team would be up 15 in the first half multiple times against the Pacers. And in my head, after I saw it the first couple times, I was like, they're just going to blow the lead again.
Absolutely.
And that's what happened in the closeout game. Jake, This was a game where I'm like, oh my God, the series. Like, I watched the first half and I go, oh my God, this series is back. Like, the Cavs found something. It clicked. Like, and the next thing you know,
it was like a 6-point game in like a minute.
Into halftime, and then next thing you know, third quarter, it's like now Pacers are up. I go, what happened?
Bro, they're a mentally weak basketball team first and foremost, and I mean they can improve on that. What Donovan Mitchell yesterday in the exit interview said, what they asked him, what do you tell everybody to take home with you this summer, like to learn? He said embarrassment. He said, I hope they feel embarrassment and learn and sit with it and learn what that feels like, because they're embarrassed because they got like that's not everything you said, bro. It's baffling. That was not the basketball team we watched for 82 games. It was a completely different thing. And what do they do to fix it, Steve? They have two players. They can't really, first of all, with the salary cap, there's really nothing they can do. They're in the second apron because Evan Mobley won Defensive Player of the Year. They wouldn't have been the second apron if Wemby's healthy. Mobley doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year. He doesn't get the escalator. They're not in the second apron. They have way more flexibility. So Evan Mobley being sick and Wemby getting hurt cost the Cavs any kind of cap flexibility they have. So that's why I started putting up the Zion stuff today. I was getting cooked. I ain't gonna lie, I got cooked all day by Cavs fans bitching at me about wanting to get Zion. I don't want Zion. I'm just trying to find an option to get rid of Darius Garland. I think Darius Garland is the biggest issue. I think Mobley and Allen are also an issue, because I think the biggest issue on this team is that Garland and Mitchell are both good at the same things, and Mobley and Allen are both good at the same things, but Mitchell's better than Garland at those things, and Mobley's better than Allen at those things. And yet they still try to find time for all of them together, when really the best use of them would be like Garland's your sixth man, Allen's your backup big, and then you fill in everywhere else around those guys and kind of do it like that. But they can't pay Darius Garland what they're paying him and put him on the bench. Like, they just can't do that. So they're honestly, Steve, they're fucked. I don't think there's anything they can do. They can make some tertiary little changes around, like the Sam Merrills of the world. They should definitely let Ty Jerome go, because I never want to see that guy play in a playoff game again. And they find some, and they've done a good job in there. Like, think of Dean Wade, Sam Merrill. Like, these are guys that they built from their G League team, brought up and made into real contributors on their roster. Another guy that you can look at, got a little playing time, Craig Porter Jr. He could step in and just be a backup guard for them next year. Jalen Tyson was another guard who showed a lot of promise for them. They have Imani Bates. Like, maybe Imani Bates turns into something. He's still cooking. But they have, like, now think another year of Hunter, like, fully integrated into this team. If that's different. Strus is just up and down all the time, but he's going to go to war.
Strus, but he had
Strus telling everybody, if you don't want to be here, go home, and going 0 for 9 from 3 is a tough look. But Strus kept them alive.
Hunter take here?
Dunny, I would love to hear all your takes going. I want to hear what your thoughts about the Cavs completely.
This is just posing a question, because I'm typically someone in all sports that if it's not broke, don't fix it. I'm a big vibes guy in sports. I think team chemistry is huge, especially winning and in the playoffs. But the DeAndre Hunter trade, for those who don't remember, at the trade deadline, the Cavs traded for DeAndre Hunter. The Hawks got Karis LeVert, Georges Niang, 3 second-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. In the playoffs, DeAndre Hunter averaged 11 points per game, 3.6 rebounds. He did shoot the 3 ball very well. And you could say 11 points per game, that's not awful, especially if you're thinking, Mobley, Garland, Mitchell, those guys should all be scoring more points per game than DeAndre Hunter anyway. But Georges Niang, who they sent to Atlanta, was a 10-point per game scorer in the regular season. Karis LeVert, a 12-point per game scorer in the regular season. And we know what Karis LeVert can do, especially with Cleveland. Both those guys, 40% from 3 for Niang, 37% from 3 for LeVert. I don't know. I mean, DeAndre Hunter, I like the trade at the time. I think he can do a lot of things that those guys can't. But I just wonder how much did they actually need him, or were they reaching to get to that next level, and maybe they didn't need to get there. Maybe they didn't need to ruffle feathers, screw up the chemistry a little bit. You lose 3 second-round picks, which in today's NBA isn't nothing. And you're talking about Jake, how changes probably need to come with this group. Well, that's 3 picks that you're not getting back, and then the 2 pick swaps in the future, which pick swaps can be tricky when you try to look at them this soon in a trade, but it doesn't help the situation as currently constructed. So I don't think DeAndre Hunter is the reason that the Cavs are at home right now. But I do think if you're the Cavs front office, you probably thought you were getting more at the trade deadline. Like, you probably thought this looked different when you were thinking about it at the trade deadline compared to how it ended up ultimately being.
I think that's completely fair, Dunny, but I don't think it's on Hunter. Kenny didn't play him as much. Like, Kenny didn't play him like he played in Atlanta.
I don't necessarily think he was bad. I'm just like, okay,
he averaged.
This is what we have now, and it didn't really do anything.
I think it's a usage thing too. Like he averaged almost 30 minutes a game in Atlanta. He was averaging 20 points a game. He was taking more. He's averaging more attempts in Atlanta a game. I'm trying to get looking at these stats at the same time here.
In the playoffs.
Only 23 minutes in the playoffs. Only 20. I think it was 25 in the regular season, and he only took 4 field goal attempts a game compared to. I guess he was compared to 7 in Atlanta. So I think it's Kenny, and that I saw. There's a lot of sentiment from Cavs fans the whole run. Like, can we please see more DeAndre Hunter? And I think that he got hurt. That sucked. That he missed game 2 with the dislocated thumb, and who knows what that did to him in the playoffs too. But it's a great question, Dunny, because they brought in DeAndre Hunter as much like he's a great piece, but they brought him in for vibes with freaking Ty Jerome too. Like, oh, sick, Ty Jerome's team. Yeah. This is great too. And look what that did. Like, so I don't know. Like, was it worth it? I'm still okay with it because I think he's a better piece for the future. But there's something to be said that they were literally rolling, and did they have to get a piece to do anything? Maybe not, and maybe they could have used 2 more options especially with the way the injuries bore out on this team, and having a Levert, and just having a Levert, another guy who can create. Like, that's the thing that hurt them the most is once Garland went down, it's just Mitchell. Like, Mitchell's the only guy who can handle the ball and like generate some offense, and Mitchell's not a playmaker. Like, he can, but he's driving to attack. Like, Mitchell's not driving to kick out. Mitchell's driving to go recklessly fly into some 7-footer at the rim and do some crazy shit and hope a layup goes in. And he's amazing at that. But
he's a combo
that's what he
guard,
does.
Not pass first.
Exactly. And so when then Garland's hampered and then you don't have another guard to even do anything, it's like Max Strus cannot be doing that. I want them to get Dennis Schroeder next year. I need Dennis Schroeder on this team no matter what happens with Garland. Like, they need a veteran point guard who can come in when these fucking guys just decide we're shooting 45 times tonight and say, no, Evan Mobley needs to shoot the ball 45 times tonight, not you two. Because that's what's going to get them to the promised land. It's Mobley. Like, that's the player who does it in the modern NBA. We're talking about Wemby's and Giannis's and all these guys. Like, the Mitchell of the world's not even the Tatums. Like, Tatum's not as big as those guys, but look at what we're talking about. Like, the Chets, SGAs, Halliburtons. Like, we can't run with 6'3" Donovan Mitchell and hope for the best. Right. So it's just, they're just flawed, and it's just, fans are going to be mad next year. They're going to go for the ride. I don't know if this team, I would hope what this team learned this year is they tailed off, and I tried to play it off as, well, it doesn't matter, whatever. And maybe that was part of it. Maybe they did just let off the gas because they had gotten such a big lead, but that clearly affected them, because that Miami series, first of all, Miami's not a real playoff team. The Cavs blew them out. It was the worst point differential ever in a playoff series. And then they come into game 1. It's like, okay, the playoffs are actually starting, but the Pacers already were in a war, and they just smacked them in the face for the first 3 quarters. Like, and the Cavs battle back in that game, and they get it strong. It's down, they're going, but they tailed off at the end of the year. And I think I tried to play that off, and that was the warning sign. And the Pacers, let's bring this back to complete this, come full circle. The Pacers got stronger as the year went on. They started slow, and then they were one of the best teams as the year finished up. Should have taken more stock into that too. And just Tyrese Halliburton, just like he's one of those guys. He can win. I think he can lead the team to a title. Like we're there. Let's be real about it. So
Yeah, and I kind of applaud you for the Garland Mitchell take because I think Cavs fans alike and other fans of teams who are in this situation where you do have two small guards like that, I think would be scared to kind of have a take like that or even to think like that because of how good Mitchell is and then to a lesser degree Darius Garland is. But I mean you're not wrong, dude. Like there was, what are we talking like close to a decade ago, maybe more like 8 years ago, you really saw that shift of size, two-way ability, shooting is like where the modern it's either hyper athleticism or the things that I just laid out before that. And like those are the top guys. That's the reason Danny Ainge in back-to-back drafts took Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, even though it wasn't popular. Because you need guys who are kind of like, I don't know. This sounds silly because of where Paul George is at in his career now, but like you almost like try to draft guys like a Paul George type, like a guy who can shoot, but he can also defend at a super high level. You can defend multiple positions. You're athletic as hell, and yeah, I think size is just part of that, unfortunately. And who knows? I think you're right to question at this point whether Mitchell is a guy who really can't make it past the second round. And we'll just have to see that. And I like he's saying all the right things. I think the Cavs should be embarrassed. I'm sure most of them are feeling that way. And we'll just have to see. I think much like my Celtics, I think you're right. The Cavs are going to have some work to do this summer.
well, I want to hear about your Celtics right now because listen, Dunny, this podcast could have been way different, but last night was special. The Knicks fans tried to invade, and the Celtics were just like, nah. Actually, Luke Cornett was like, nah. Really, he really said nah a lot of times. So how you feeling?
Yes. So I'll start with like the series as a whole, and then I'll get into the whole Tatum injury and the future of the Celtics because that shit's grim. But Celtics Knicks, obviously Celtics go down 3-1 in. While we were watching Tatum and Brunson just absolutely go at it, that was probably one of the best third quarters of basketball I've ever seen. Just two guys at the top of their game in the playoffs, trading buckets, just couldn't be stopped. It didn't matter. It just ended up coming down to the fact that Mikal and OG started hitting for the Knicks too, and no one on the Celtics could hit. So Tatum was basically going against a three-headed monster by himself, playing one of the best games, two-way games he's ever played in his career. I know he had a 51-point Game 7 just 2 years ago, but this was on its way. And I still think the Celtics would have lost this game. I think there's a lot of Celtics fans who say, if JT doesn't go down, different game, different series. Maybe, but we were with the turnover that Tatum tore his Achilles on. The Knicks were about to go up 9 on that and ended up going up 9. And there was, 2.5 minutes left. And they kind of had the momentum at that point, too. Tatum
I think Knicks won that game, to be honest with you. Yeah.
And it's easy for me to lean on that injury excuse, but even at the time, I didn't like the way it felt. I mean, Tatum was playing awesome. I was still enjoying it.
Yeah, of course.
It didn't look good. Anyway, here we are now, down 3-1 yesterday, Game 5 at the Boston Garden. The Celtics could have laid down. They lost their heart and soul. They lost their best player. Instead, contributions from everyone. Historic, just like heroic win. It was cool. It was really, I think, what a lot of Celtics needed after finding out that Tatum did indeed tear his Achilles, rupture his Achilles. But it was awesome, man. Jaylen Brown, just answered the call. I think there's a lot of Jaylen Brown haters last night that are probably punching air. This is a guy who gets shit on for his handle. Says he's not the same playmaker as Tatum. Well, he came out and had 26, 8 rebounds, 12 assists, only 2 turnovers, really, really leaned into being the playmaker for the rest of his teammates. Luke Cornett, you mentioned him, Jake. He literally looked like a white Bill Russell out there last night. He was 7 blocks, just huge rebound after huge rebound. A reverse alley-oop dunk from one of those 12 dimes from Jaylen Brown. And I mean, on top of it all, like Brunson with the flop clinic of the century, just throwing his body around. Brunson's great, by the way, and I tweeted this last night. Jalen Brunson the talent and Jalen Brunson the person, because he's been just a class act since the Tatum injury happened. But the flopping is just out of control.
Yeah, it is. But, he's going to keep doing it as he gets the calls. You know what I mean?
It's Harden. It's Harden in Houston all over again.
It is.
I mean, the flopping is a little different, but it's flopping for calls, and that's what it is.
And he can do it because he's undersized. Right. Garland and Mitchell should take notes, Jake.
Yes,
to be completely honest.
Well, Mitchell instead is just going to go 95 miles into Miles Turner's chest, and
he's not going to get a call because they're like he's out of control. Brunson's so good at it, Dunny, because he's balanced when he does it, right? And he's very good at baiting into it. But he plays the undersized guard well, where he plays big, and that's how he gets these calls, because he's tough. He's physical. He knows how to draw contact, and I get it. Like, trust me, if I was going up against him in the playoff series, I'd lose my mind, because the flopping has to drive you nuts, especially when you're like, that's not a foul, and they're going to call a foul, or it's like he clearly, leaned into him. But, like, that's just how guys play. And unless the NBA steps in and does something about it, they're going to continue to play that way, because that gives him an advantage. One guy you didn't mention, who I feel like we have to keep mentioning, Derek White, man. He's unbelievable. He's so good. I don't think the Celtics are dead against the Knicks, because I do think it's the classic Knicks, right? Have Game 6 at home. They have the pressure, because I don't think any Knicks fan, Tatum or no Tatum, wants the Knicks to try to close out a series in Boston. So all the pressure is kind of on the Knicks now. The Celtics kind of playing, I don't want to say free, but they just killed them in Game 5. It wasn't like it was, how the series has been, where they've been kind of close games here and there. You don't know what's really going to go. Whoever gets hot in the fourth quarter, and the Knicks have been the ones who have had those comebacks in the fourth quarter. Celtics didn't allow that to happen. Right, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Dunny, but in the 5 games so far, Celtics have had a 15-point lead in all of them?
All of them.
In every single game, right? So, this is a team. I know. I don't want to bring those two. I don't want to bring the early kids up. We're not talking about those. But to my point, Dunny, that's got to be a positive, right, for the Celtics side, because they're like, we have had a substantial lead against this team all series long. And, they've had some just crazy comebacks, and it's just, those morale just crushing comebacks. But to now have, you lose your best player, and you win by, I think it was 27, right? They won by 27 last night. Absolutely smoked them. Was kind of never really in doubt, and they were the better team in the second half, where they kind of pulled away. All the pressure has to be on New York now. The only really downside to the Celtics is, you might as well at this point just have Porzingis dressed in street clothes.
Yeah. What was it? Game 4. I just couldn't tell you why he's out there. And obviously it's scary. I don't. No one knows what the hell this illness is. I mean, maybe the Celtics do, and they're just keeping it hush because it is something serious. But then again, like, why would he be playing if it's that serious? I really do think it's a true unknown, to at least some extent, because last night the reason he didn't play in the second half because Mazzulla said he couldn't breathe.
Right.
So there's some like weird respiratory thing. I mean, if you watched Porzingis last year or any point of his career and then watched him in these playoffs, something's up, because he's 7'3". He had 1 rebound and 1 point last night. He can't box out Mitchell Robinson. He can't hit a shot to save his life. He's a net negative on defense. So, and Luke Cornett came in and fucking outplayed him.
He was incredible.
10.
He was incredible.
So, I don't know what's going on with KP, and I'm not asking, I don't think Celtics fans are asking for sympathy, especially after coming off a title last year. But I do want to point out, like, not only are we down Tatum, we never really had Porzingis at all in these playoffs. So it's like, I think that's kind of like because maybe it's because Porzingis is checking into these games and like people are seeing his jersey on the court. Porzingis is not with this team right now.
No, I agree.
He's actually, I think, from all the games I've watched, he's checked into. I think he's actually hurting the team when he's out there. So that's obviously another interesting factor. I like that you brought up Derek White, Steve, because I saw this stat earlier. He also has 13 threes the last 2 games, which is just bonkers. But Derek White last night, that was his 576th NBA game for Derek White. Just the 3rd time he's gotten 11 free throws or more. 4th time he's scored 34. And 3 of those 4 have been playoff games.
He's a riser, man.
Yeah, Derek White, he's just and this is a good segue into the future of the season. Tatum tearing his Achilles. I think Derek White is an untouchable next year.
Has to be.
The contract he's still on for how good he is still actually a value in my eyes. He's under 30, and I think anywhere else Derek White could be making like $30 to $33 million a year. And he's under that mark right now, and where you have guys like Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis who are at the 30 or a little bit over. So I do think Derek White's an untouchable next year. I'm a little all over the place right now, but Tatum tearing his Achilles is just I got
Tough.
the Tatum jersey on tonight. It's just so strange, man. Like, this is a guy who talked about over and over again about how he's an Iron Man, and how he just doesn't miss time, has never had a significant injury, and now when he's at the peak of his powers, he has truly became a super.
His best game in the playoffs too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this year at least, yeah.
An aggressive point forward. Like, he was really figuring out the playmaking stuff. He was one of the best rebounders in the playoffs this year. And his defense has never been poor, but he's, obviously a 2-way stud. And now he's going to miss most likely all of next season. And it's just one of those injuries you never know. You never know when guys come back. Like, you don't want to – I don't want to say this out loud, but it's something that, other Boston journalists and Bill Simmons has posed the question. It's like, is he going to be the same again? I think the good thing for him is that he's only 27 now, so he's still going to be under 30 when he comes back from this injury. But it's just like he was ascending into his prime, best year of his career, 4 straight All-NBA seasons, and then he has to go out like this trying to defend a title. So it's tough to deal with. I can't compare this to anything else sports-wise in my life. I think the closest would be Tom Brady. But I was 11 years old when that happened, and even then, for some reason, it just still didn't feel like the magnitude of this. Maybe because this happened in a playoff game, but it's a lot to deal with. And Brad Stevens, this is a team that he assembled together, and I don't think anyone thought it would be cut this short. I think everyone knew the writing was on the wall with the salaries and the money and making all that work, but I don't think, not even 2 full seasons where this is all we're going to get with this core. And that's what we have now. Brad Stevens will need to make multiple moves. He has some very tough decisions to make this summer. I think Porzingis and Drew will be gone. I think some Celtics fans are out of their mind for thinking that he's going to trade Jaylen Brown. I know the new owner thing. I know he makes $300 million. I know we have 2 max guys. I just can't see them doing it. And last night was a glaring example of why you don't, because I think we can stay afloat with Jaylen Brown as the number 1 next year.
The one that I don't want to say scares me, but at some point Pritchard is going to have to start somewhere, right, or get paid more. Like,
yeah,
you can't
he's
keep
under
him on the
contract
bench.
next year, and it's still one of the best contracts in the NBA. I think.
I know.
I think he's safe next year, but when
after that is
when it comes time to paying him, I don't think they can.
And then this is Horford's last year, probably.
I think Horford has a player option, and it's like he should just walk. Like, he's not going to look to go anywhere else.
No, so it's retirement, or he plays 1 more year.
He might retire just for the better of the team. Like, honestly, if Brad's like, bro, the best move for us is for you to retire, Al might be like, thank you. Like, let me go home.
I would. I would say I wouldn't be shocked next year if there was no Drew, no KP, and no Horford.
Bobby Marks outlined today, Dunny. I just found this. I was looking up some
with it.
Celtics stuff. He outlined a 3-team trade that would send Drew Holiday to the Cleveland Cavaliers and Darius Garland to the Boston Celtics.
Whoa.
Because the cap ramifications, there's really not a lot of things that can be done, but there is some machination that can be done. So I would welcome that. Cavs fans were losing it from what I see about that. That is exactly
well,
what
Cavs fans are going through it right now. Cavs fans
just don't understand basketball because they're Browns fans. I will gladly say that. They don't know what they're talking about.
You gotta give them a couple days to mourn, Jake. I mean, come on now.
I mourned.
What else they got?
Last Tuesday, it was dead in the water.
They got nothing else in Cleveland when they got the Guardians and the Browns. Let them mourn a little bit. They're fine. Guards are fine. Guards are fine.
They really only care about the Browns. They've been talking about Shedeur Sanders more than they've been talking about Donovan Mitchell the last 2 weeks. You kidding me? I've seen more tweets about Shedeur than I've seen about Don.
The Browns draft was like if you just gave controller in a Madden draft to like an 8-year-old and said just
absolutely.
pick. It was like, I know this name. Pick. Oh.
I'm gonna be beefing with Cavs fans for the next year because I wholeheartedly believe that there's fuck. Just what it is.
I'm aware.
Gonna have to beat the ball, and I gotta do it. Somebody got to do it. Shout out Captain Ferdinand.
Before we move on, Dunny. Before we move on, what percent chance do you think the Celtics have of winning the series against the Knicks?
67%.
Okay, so you still think they can win this series?
No, it's not 67%. It's 53%.
53%. All right, and then let's say they get by the Knicks. Do you think they can beat Indiana without Tatum?
I do think they can. I think it would be very, very, very difficult, though. I think it's a much improved Pacers team from last year. They didn't see Mathurin last year.
Right.
Tatum's a huge guy to lose for like the Siakam, even Turner stuff that they have going on, and then just matching buckets. I mean, we talked about the Pacers run. They control the pace. They shoot threes. It's actually would be an electric series if the Celtics were healthy, but I do. I mean, long answer short, yeah, I do think they can. You know, is it likely? No, but same thing with them getting out of this series. Last night just did some things to me, man. I was as down as I've been.
I was gonna say you probably felt defeated after game 4. You probably just like this is sky's falling. Don't know what the future looks like. Our best player just tore his Achilles. So I'm glad they at least got that one game 5 for you.
I bet Jaylen Brown's points, rebounds, assists, but like even I was surprised by Jaylen. Like he answered the call, and Derek White is as good as we know he is, and it was just kind of their demeanor. Like they even all said it after the game. Like we just did that shit for JT, and
he was watching in the hospital, right?
Yeah,
or he was still in the hospital.
He's still in the hospital, yeah. And they played like champions. And I think, people are quick to forget, even with the Tatum injury, this team won a championship last year, and they were 8-2 this season without Tatum. So they can do it. My last thing here is the Knicks better hope they win Game 6 tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if they lose, it's over.
I think the pressure is on.
If the Knicks lose this series, New York, like you talk about.
I'm gonna be bing-bonging all weekend if the Knicks fucking lose.
But I'm saying just in terms of fans, like sky is falling. If the Knicks lose this series, New York is gonna be a disaster.
That is the underrated thing about this.
Well, exactly, right? Especially watching, they'll have to lose the series, then watch Julius Randle, who's averaging like 23 a game, ball out in the Western Conference Finals.
That is the underrated thing about Game 6 tomorrow is there is so much pressure on the New York Knicks.
100%.
Like they came into this series and it was like the Knicks can play free. Like no one expects. Now it's the exact opposite, and the Celtics can go into MSG and just be like, "Hey, whatever, guys. Like, let's just let it fly. Like, who knows? Like, they got to live to fight another day. Like, literally, who knows what? Like you said, Dunny, who knows what this team even looks like? Like, they're going out there just like." it's a different kind of animal when you're dealing with a team like that, like with the wounded team, but also like the team that has been so tight knit and might know that this is like, lack of a better term, the last dance. Like all the pressure on the Knicks, and the second the Celtics take an 8-point lead, the second Derek White hits a 3 and the Celtics go up 8 and they call that timeout, it's going to be silent. Like, because they'll be hyped up to start, but those fans are going to live and die with every run on that. So the Celtics, as a veteran team, as a team who has been in all these battles for years and years and years and won plenty of road playoff games, I'm excited to see them go in and bring the fight to the Knicks, who are going to be tight and going to be nervous, especially. You know what I'm betting tomorrow? Under Karl Anthony Towns, every single thing.
I love that, Jake. That's music to my ears. The Celtics have won their last 5 elimination games on the road.
That's crazy. That's impressive.
That is nuts. Oh, my God.
That Heat series from 2 years ago helped.
Oh, yeah, you got that 2 in there.
Because then they lost the elimination game at home.
At home.
Because Tatum sprained his ankle. But
we'll always have Derek White.
Exactly. That was the last Game 6 elimination game they played.
Yeah.
Vibes are. I don't know. I'm not all the way back by any means. I'm still gutted about Tatum, but I needed last night. Lord knows.
Is Game 7 Sunday night? Then
I think
Game 7 would be Sunday night.
It would have to be because tomorrow's Game 6. There's no way there. But I'm about to freak out with the NBA scheduling. What are we doing? What was it? Knicks Celtics was at 3:30 on a Saturday?
Yeah, why? Yeah. What are we doing?
What are we doing?
I was at Porch Fest and I had to fucking Uber home to
3:30 on a Saturday?
Why? Like why? For
MSG
what?
too.
I missed the whole thing. I was out on a boat. I couldn't see any of it. So
I missed it too. I was golfing. I'm sorry, Johnny.
We're doing normal activities.
Stevie Boston don't support your team. Not when it's 75 degrees. I was playing 36 holes last weekend. I was playing 30. It was 70 degrees out and a perfectly sunny. There was not a cloud in the sky. Usually rains every time I want to play. I'm playing golf. We finished our first 18, and it was beautiful out there. Like, you want to play 18 more? And I was like, well, I was planning on going home and watch Celtics Knicks. I'm not watching Celtics Knicks at 3:30 when it's 7 degrees out, perfectly sunny. You kidding me? I'm playing 18 more. And you know what the best part of that round was? I didn't even check. The score until I was done with that round. I'm not giving the NBA any my attention. 3:30 on a Saturday, Celtics Knicks. That is disgraceful.
Yeah, that's crazy work.
Disgusting act.
All right, that's it for me on the Celts, man. I just really hope they get it done tomorrow.
I'll be Jake Boston tomorrow. I hate the Knicks so much. I don't want them to win that fucking series in MSG. If they beat you guys in Boston, I wouldn't be as mad. Bro, I hate the Knicks. This is how much I hate the Knicks. I really have determined how and I thought I was mad at the Pacers this series. But I'd rather have the Pacers beat the Knicks. I don't even care, except Ben Mathurin. I hope he doesn't get any joy. Dunny, I really want you to play the Pacers just so you have to experience a Ben Mathurin series, and then you can join in this newfound hatred I have for him. Love him as a player. Don't get me wrong. He's awesome. But, oh, my God. What a ridiculous human being he is. It is crazy.
Fair. No, I don't hate the Knicks. I will hate the Knicks tomorrow night when I try to watch the game, and the first 30 minutes is just showing all the different celebrities sitting courtside. I don't care. I'm sorry. I do not care who's watching at the Garden. I'm trying to watch the game. I don't care that these celebrities are watching the game. The one thing I will say, I am pulling for Boston. I won't be pulling for Boston Dunny once it's Indiana versus Boston. There will be a part of me that wants Boston because I have them in our playoff pool or whatever. But I had fallen in love with this Pacers team again. I had liked them beforehand, and now it's just I'm back falling in love with just how they play. To say what you want about the Knicks, man, I love watching Josh Hart, dude. Josh Hart. I will be rooting for Boston. I want Boston to come back in this series. I still think they have a good chance too. But man, dude, you talk about a guy that just be a perfect fit on the Cavs, Jake. You hate the Knicks, but talk about an undersized guy who just crashes the glass every time, does everything
Josh
you
Hart.
need to do. Josh Hart, man. I mean, that's like the one thing I could take away from the Knicks, because sometimes I do love Brunson, but he can be infuriating watching into games when he's foul baiting. Karl Anthony Towns, I think Jake said it perfectly. Just take the under and everything in the playoffs. Can't trust the guy. I like Bridges. Sometimes I feel like Bridges doesn't realize how good he is. But man, dude, Josh Hart is. If I were to like build a NBA team, I could have my pick. I'd just find a way to get him on the roster. I just want that guy on the roster. He is the exact type of player I want. I don't think he's the most talented guy on the court. I don't think he's the best shooter. Sometimes I don't think he's the best ball handler. But man, he reminds me of Russell Westbrook, Dunny, where no one tries harder than him on the court.
Yeah. No, I like that. I mean, the Knicks got some players, man. It's more. My beef is usually with Knicks fans more than anything.
That's my beef. That's my beef.
I'll say it again. Brunson's great. He's a great player. He's a fucking all-time clutch player. It's just the when you're in a playoff series with him, trust me, the foul shit is just egregious. Especially when Knicks fans get on Twitter and they're fucking bitching about how the Celtics didn't win last night. The refs did. You guys shot 40 free throws.
Can I say something? Can I say something? There has to be a point limit where you lose by this amount of points. You are not allowed to complain about the refs. If you lose by more than 15, you can't say a word about the refs. I am so tired of teams now. Anytime they lose a game, whatever, they blame the ref. Blame the ref. No, that's not the reason you lost. Like, part of it is because, Derek White hit 7 threes. Jaylen Brown had 12 assists. Luke Cornett looked like Hakeem Olajuwon. That's kind of why you lost. It's not free throws. I'm so tired. And this is not just Knicks fans, and this is not just this series. I think you guys can agree, especially like since social media has become so prevalent. Just the past couple of years, no matter how a team loses, everyone finds a way to just be like, oh, it's the refs. It started with football. It's been so prevalent in basketball. I don't even know how people could make it like obvious in baseball. I don't think people care enough. But, it's the umpire calling balls and strikes. But it really is. It's so crazy now that a team can get blown out. The Celtics won by 25. And you're right, Dunny. Knicks fans, all you saw was them complaining about the refs. It's crazy. 25 points. What are we doing?
Someone clipped this morning. Someone clipped a Peyton Pritchard step back three, and they were like, "This is so clearly travel. This is a huge problem in the NBA." And this is my favorite joke going when people complain about one shot and a blowout. Someone screenshotted the score, scribbled out the Celtics final number, just subtracted 3, and they're like, "Hope this helps." You still would have lost by fucking 24.
Right?
So, yeah, sure, have the 3.
And
take the 3 back.
If you are the type of person that goes back into games after your team loses to clip one play and say this is the reason we lost, I don't want you in my life. You stink. I want no part of you. You stink. You are the worst type of human being. Because, Dunny, you can do the exact same thing. You could go right back and be like, oh, this wasn't called, this wasn't called, this wasn't called. Guess what? There's something called human error. Like, people miss calls all the time, and it's the playoffs. It's a very physical game. It's never going to be officiated perfectly. Like, it pisses me off to no degree of people complaining about the refs, especially when they get blown out. What are we doing?
My favorite basketball.
You lost by 25.
Told me this at a very young age, but all refs suck.
Yeah, of course.
All refs suck.
If you want to do
some
it,
of the best
there's something wrong.
I've ever got.
I will say, Steve, if there is one play that can affect the game, the Cavs playoff run is epitomized in one play. I might have mentioned it to Dunny last week, but I don't think you were here for it. End of the third quarter, game 2. There's shot clock off.
Mm-hmm.
Oro has the ball in his hands. He drives straight to the basket. Doesn't even look at the clock. Foul. Misses the first free throw because he can't shoot free throws. He's like a 68% free throw shooter. Hits the second, so the Pacers get a clean inbound. Come down. They get a 3. Cavs lost by 1.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Those are the moments in the games.
You're allowed to clip that one, Jake.
That's one I would like to clip, and then I will bring back up the Cavs fans forever. But those are the things that you can bring up, like things about your own team, like things that your team messed up.
yeah.
Don't be going and
like
complaining
errors.
about. Don't be going and complaining about. I can't believe that. The thing you just said about the person getting rid of the three and putting it like it's literally the meme of Chris Paul, like the 3-point Chris Paul hits the three to cut the lead to 38. Like that's what you did. Congratulations. Like
Right.
people are
So
crazy.
crazy,
Like
man.
like your team
No
lost. Just
one-
take your L. Like don't rationalize your L. Just take your L and go
Well, that's the
home.
thing. No one can take an L anymore. And this is
No.
going back for years now. Every time someone loses, they have to make excuses. And people hated on Giannis for his quote, but when he said only one team can win the championship every year, like sometimes you just lose. Like it just happens. Like sometimes you just lose. Like the Oklahoma City Thunder had one of the best regular seasons. They lost 14 times this year. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like some games you just lose, and the playoffs are meant to be like, how do you battle back from the losses? If the players had the same shitty attitude that the fans did, where they're complaining on every loss, that you'd lose 4-0 every time. Like it's so frustrating, man. It drives me nuts. It's just like, like you lost the game next. The Celtics were just better than you. They just made their threes and they played elite defense last night. And maybe they played a little extra because of what happened to Tatum the night, or not the night before, the game before. Maybe. Sometimes, you just have those emotions come over you. Like, just happens. Yeah. It wasn't the refs. Like, what are we doing? We're just like 25. Ridiculous.
Agreed. Anyways,
It's
we
crazy.
can't have the New York Knicks fans be in the conference finals or the NBA finals. So, Dunny, we're all with you tomorrow night.
Mental exercise. Quick exercise here, Dunny. Let's assume. All right, I don't want to go doomsday Dunny here, but let's just assume the Knicks beat the Celtics because I know what you're gonna say if in the other scenario. Rank and let's assume Thunder beat the Nuggets. Rank the 4 teams and who you want to win the NBA championship. If it's Knicks, Pacers, and Thunder, T-Wolves, yeah. Who you want? Because we don't have a dog in the race anymore, right? Everyone's out at that point.
Wolves,
Ugh.
Thunder, Pacers, Knicks.
I would go Pacers, Thunder, Knicks, Wolves. I think would be my 4. Knicks, Wolves is like bottom tier for me. Like it's a clear gap after top 2. I think I'd go Pacers, Thunder, 1, 2.
Mine's Pacers, Wolves, Thunder, Knicks.
Okay. And then if the Celtics win, Jake, where do you put them? Do you put them over?
Who?
If the Celtics beat the Knicks, where do you put the Celtics?
Well,
I know Dunny will have them 1.
The Celtics will be my number 1 because I'm a good friend. Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Hey, Jake Boston.
I cheered for him last year too.
Boston.
Last year, I cheered for both. Yeah. I'm back. We're here.
I'm back.
I'm not cheering for the Knicks.
This guy's getting Drew Holiday next year, bro. He's
Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday. We're back. It's all good.
It's weird though, because that's a funny question. I was doing that exercise with my roommates the other night, and it's like I could go so many different ways with that. Knicks will be last no matter what, but it's like Pacers. This is where our brains are ruined because I actually don't really care about this. But then, like, I gave my list, and the list that I just gave you guys is the real list. But I have other lists where I'm like, well, I don't want this guy to be compared to Jason Tatum and like put in the same conversation.
I get it. No, I completely get it.
Because that's what the fucking NBA is now. And if Ant gets a ring this year, it's like, oh, well, now we have to have those conversations again.
Ant will be talked about like he's Michael Jordan if they win this year.
But I want that to happen because then the war becomes between SGA and Ant fans, and then we can all just exist away from all of them, and they can do their own thing, and we can exist in the world that Nikola Jokic is better than both of them.
That's actually a fair point. And Giannis, and Luka.
And Giannis. And yeah, like these are the actual guys. Like it's gonna be like the that meme of the guy like chugging the water, and then you see him on the podium, he's like in 4th place. That's what it's gonna be with those two. So that's what I'm hoping for. The most chaotic option.
I told you guys, I know I teased it a little bit. Maybe over the summer we're going to do a little happy hour hoops ranking of all the NBA players. But I'll tell you what, championship won't change my opinion on where I'm going to place Ant against some of these guys. All right,
You guys see where I put Darius Garland on that list now.
Oh, we're going to have some great ones. Because I was thinking about it. I'm like, if we just announce one at a time, start from 100 up, right? Like, announce 100. We say where we have I put 100 and go from there. We could have some wild gaps. I mean, some wild differences here.
Especially depending on how these playoffs end.
Donovan Mitchell would be like 94 for Jake. I'd be like, Jake.
Honorable. No, he's getting 100 to kick off my top 100 list. All NBA
He's out of
first
control on his
teamer.
drives.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, all NBA.
The shooting was a little inefficient for me. Dropped him 95 spots. Sorry.
All right, before we wrap here, each of us 3 words on the Mavericks getting the first pick.
Ooh, 3 words. Nico's so lucky.
I like that.
Nico deserves jail. There's so many ways he deserves it. And this is the icing on the cake, Nico, because now you think you're vindicated. No, you still deserve jail. I hate him. However, might be watching some more Mavs games last year. I know after the Luka trade, we took a long break on the Mavs games. I might have to lock back in because, I know
Cooper's gonna be awesome.
It'll be a while until they're fully healthy. Obviously, with Kyrie's injury, Kyrie flag and AD, man. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Another 3
mean,
words.
Their potential rotations right now is crazy.
I wonder who they let go. They have so many guys they got. I don't know what they do.
I think Gafford's as good as gone.
Yeah, I think so too. It sucks because I like Gafford.
Two of Lively, or I guess not 2 of, but like if you think about having Lively, Davis, Flag, Gafford, and Washington, I would think like either Lively and Washington are gone or Gafford and Washington are gone because that just feels like too much of a front court where a lot of the guys do. I know they're all their own different players, but you guys hear what I'm getting at?
No, I get what you mean.
Yeah,
I would love for them to find a way to be able to have Flag play at the 2 and just play a big size with PJ, Flag, Lively, AD, and Kyrie because Flag and AD can give you so much offensively. I would love them to find a way. Because PJ, I don't want to say he's an undersized 4, but he's 6'7". Like that's more of a 3 size than a 4, anyways. I mean, he shoots the outside. Big thing with PJ is he just can't really handle the ball.
I was gonna say attacking from the perimeter is his
limitation. Yeah, that's his biggest limitation. But I would love to see if they could work that lineup because Cooper Flag to me, I feel like is positionless. He feels similar to like LeBron in a sense, where you could find a way to make the lineup where he's point, and you could find a way to make the lineup where he's the 5, and everywhere in between. Which is awesome, right, to have that, especially at how young of an age he is. And we saw how good he was at Duke and everything. The sky's the limit for this kid. I'm going to include him in my top 100, and it's going to be disgustingly high. I'm just going to put that warning disclaimer out there right now. But I do think PJ Washington is the type of guy you want in your locker room, Dunny. You get what I'm saying? But he's the type of guy where I think you just try to move things around to make it work.
You want Cooper around him.
Yes. Yeah. He's a junkyard dog is what PJ Washington is.
I think Gafford's
he's the toughness. Gafford's got to go. I hate saying it, but he has to. You know, it would have been nice if they had Quentin Grimes, 30 a night in Philly, but, they got
a contender will probably come forward for Gafford, and depending on if Al Horford moves on, I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics are one of those teams.
You know where Gafford would have worked out this past year? LA.
Yeah. What are your 3 words, Dunny?
Yeah, so I have 2 different sets of 3 words. While I was watching the lottery and I saw that the Sixers were in the top 4, my 3 words were please fucking no. Because I just really, really, really didn't want the Sixers to get it. But my 3 words afterwards are so damn lucky. But really, this shit's rigged.
I agree. I mean, it's
Great White Hope.
Can it?
Yeah,
They got another one. The Mavs. I don't know how they do it. They got an American one this time, but it's
all
so
they do.
how does it
That's
happen?
all they do at this point. I will say, I think the lottery's rigged too. I'm tired of the lottery. I get it. Like, you don't want teams to tank, but the lottery is causing more teams to tank. Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, towards the end of the year, it's causing more teams to kind of check out of their lineups. Like, if it was just kind of how the NFL is, right? And you have a couple teams, quote unquote, tanking at the end of the year. You're playing not your best lineups, or maybe you're playing more backups, or you're resting, guys that you think are going to be part of your franchise the following year. But the whole thing of the lottery was to prevent teams from tanking. But all we see now is more and more teams in the NBA that be like, oh, well, we have a chance. We might as well tank. We're not going to try for the playoffs. You saw what happened with the Mavs 2 years ago. I'm not talking about the finals run. I'm talking the year before when they didn't make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They didn't play their guys at the end because it wasn't worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no incentive to cut bait if you're a 10 seed that is battling for the playoffs, because you have to play it. You need to get into play-in. You have to be it. Like, otherwise you're going to be with the 15th pick.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So, a lottery's rigged, and I hate it because I think it encourages tanking more than. I think it's just rigged. I think that's kind of their, gaslight reason of, it prevents tanking. No, stop it. I don't want to hear it. But yeah, go Mavs, I guess, right? I'm happy.
It feels dirty. It just feels dirty.
I was so torn, right? I was so torn because I hate Nico. Nico needs to be in a jail underneath the ground, no windows, nothing. And now, like, people are like, oh, Nico's vindicated. No, he's not.
No, not even close.
Yeah, one of my buddies texted me right away. Nico was right. I was like, he absolutely
he wasn't right. That's the thing that drives me nuts.
The theory that Nico is right also plays into the fact that he would have had to design Kyrie Irving to tear his ACL and get hurt in the first game that he played. That also plays
pretty much. Yeah, you're not wrong there. You're definitely not wrong there. No, but it's just so frustrating because part of me. Like I said, I can't wait to watch Cooper Flag. I'll be excited to watch him on the Mavericks as much as Nico just ripped my heart out and so many other hearts out. Like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, I can't wait to watch Cooper Flag in the Mavs, right? But, man, I can't do it. Also, the NBA, the big conspiracy of, Dallas maybe going to Vegas is what everyone's talking about. Why the Luka deal happened? Well, now you got your young star.
That's true.
You got your young star. So we'll see.
One last question to leave on. Dunny, do you think, from Slick, Paul Pierce actually walked 20 miles to the studio?
Yeah, I do.
I do.
Okay. I think you did too.
I think Pierce, I think he's he's a funny character. I know, the whole fight from ESPN with the strippers and the live stream and the smoking and the never really taking anything seriously. If there's anything that Paul Pierce takes seriously, it's Celtics pride. And if he made a bet on the Celtics behalf, I think Pierce is a man of his word when it comes to Celtics shit. And the video of KG rolling up on him, and KG was in his car, Pierce was walking to work, is one of the funniest videos you'll ever see. So if you haven't seen it, go check that out. But I do think it was real. Paul Pierce is the man. He actually came out today and said that he wasn't surprised by anything the Celtics did last night because he knew that they had the hearts of the champions and they were that good even without Tatum. But anyway, I digress. Slick, I do think Paul walked the 20 miles. Shout out Paul Pierce. Shout out Slick. I mean,
his nickname's the truth, Dunny. He ain't lying.
The truth, yeah.
He's not lying.
He lie about that. It was good content too, and he looked sweaty by the time he got to work, so I believe it.
Also, breaking news before we go. You guys have the top 2 picks in our WNBA fantasy draft tonight. Shout out the WNBA starting with Dunny. Shout out the WNBA that's starting tomorrow. Anyone, real quick, right. Who's your pick to win? Real quick. Championship.
The Chicago Sky. Absolutely. Angel Reese, Hub, Camila Cardoso. She's going to cook down low. Vandersloot and Haley Van Lith shooting. Come on. Nah, it's going to be the Liberty, bro. Liberty is just going to torch everybody again.
I don't hate the Aces. I know they got rid of my girl. And I'm loyal to the Sparks now, and I'm a little bit loyal to Dallas. But man, Jewel Lloyd on the Aces.
Yeah, it's going to be scary.
Jackie Young, Chelsea Green. I think is going to be healthy. Asia,
Well,
it's hard.
we were talking about Cooper going to Dallas. Paige went to Dallas as well. So that's
with Enrique and Paige backcourt.
It's going to be scary.
Pretty big stuff for
Saturday afternoon. We're starting up.
Yeah.
Beaver Sky at 3 on
I need
ABC.
to start preparing here. We got 20 minutes to the draft. All right. Thank you all
just
for listening. It's sticking around. This was actually quite therapeutic.
This is great.
As far as dealing with the Tatum injury and the state of the Celtics' future. And Jake, I'm sure this felt a little better for you to get some of that shit off your chest. And Steve, I think you should be excited about the Mavericks. Fuck Nico, just put him on the back burner, and you have Cooper flag, so that's sick. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Shout out to Trainwreck Sports. Follow Trainwreck Sports on all socials. Bill's season is right around the corner. Follow us at Happy Hour Hoops 1 on all socials, and we'll be back to talk more draft stuff and more playoffs next week. I know we just kind of talked about the first pick there, but we'll break it down a little more next week, and then go watch Nuggets Thunder and go Celtics tomorrow.
Big game. Yeah.
Later, guys.
See you.